Welcome to the Pinfall podcast. Made a mistake, okay?
We love last second adjustments.
That's so much worse. Alright. I noticed that it was like a lot lower than I thought it would be. I don't know. Welcome to the Pinfall podcast. I'm your host, Liz. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark. We have a special guest host. She's just walking around right now in the studio.
Never rest. Can't settle
She
down.
almost jumped into my open drawer, so that was cool.
She's causing a mess of everything.
It's Pepita, what do you expect?
Fair.
So tonight's Friday, which is normally a good thing, but it's also Smackdown Day, which wasn't a bad thing today.
I wasn't happy. And that's
I weren't happy. I guess
unusual.
more from like a storyline point. I wasn't like upset.
I think the only thing good about today was the matchups that we got. But even then, they were kind of pointless. But before we get into the nitty gritty of that, get into the
I'm supposed to do the promo show tonight.
You see, you don't bring it up because then nobody will expect it. But now people are like, "Oh, what's the promo show?" Huh?
Can you cut this out?
I cannot understand what you're saying.
Can you cut this out?
No.
I'll remember that.
So, news?
Tell people what the news is, and they'll be like, "What's the news?" And then it's like, blah, blah, blah. "I'm Mark, and I'm a smartass." Blah blah blah. I just want to make it abundantly clear that I cannot move my chair in any direction because the cat is sitting right under my feet.
She loves to be an inconvenience. When she's not just sleeping in the background.
And our special guest host is here today, scratching holes in the duvet as she comes up. Sniffing a pillow. All right. Jesus Christ.
Oh, other side, other side, other side. Oh.
What is other side for you?
You're going too far every time. Just cut the difference. Cat.
Get in
Nobody
there.
needs to see that.
All right. I guess we'll start with the thing that was already kind of announced and isn't really news, but I sure as shit want to comment on it. So we're having the final farewell for Undertaker at Survivor Series, I guess. And at this rate, if he comes back in the future, I'm gonna be pissed.
You know he will be.
This has been like Vince McMahon's like Victorian mourning period where he like mourns.
Yep. Just ride it out, ride it out.
But like where he like mourns Undertaker leaving him for like a solid like 6 months.
Yeah. Well, is this gonna be like his last match? Survivor Series? Because I know there's a lot of people saying that.
I don't know.
You know, honestly.
Jeff Hardy just gonna like wash his feet.
What?
I don't know. That seems like a Jeff Hardy thing to do.
I just don't want Undertaker's last match to be against AJ Styles of the Boneyard match. I would want, like, I know a lot of people are talking about Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, which could be really fun and good on the old Undertaker. If it's done in like a cinematic match like the John Cena one was.
I guess my only fear with that is like if they're opening up a. Like, I feel like that's not good as a standalone. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I guess we'll have to see what next Raw brings us, because that's the last Raw before Survivor Series.
I mean, like, who's gonna? I just don't know who would be good to fight him aside from Bray.
No one.
Yeah. But anyways, um. So let's talk about Mustafa Ali. Mustafa is mad now.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I guess let's see if I bookmarked it. He was on After the Bell, which, as we all know, is a podcast sponsored by the WWE. It's like under their name, with Corey Graves, and he was on a podcast episode just recently, I guess. He's mad. Maybe this is kayfabe, because the episode ended up being heavily edited. He tweeted, "Check out my heavily edited because it was too hot for streaming and the higher ups would be mad interview on After the Bell WWE. You won't hear about me standing up for myself, backstabbing superstars, and so much more because it was too much. So enjoy." I don't know if it's like, it might be kayfabe because like retribution, but at the same time, it's like, if it's not, it just feels like a silly criticism to make if it's like, well, yeah, it's a podcast made by the WWE, technically.
Yeah, it's definitely was done for kayfabe, and he kind of had to come up with a reason why a normally unedited podcast would be heavily edited. Because I'm pretty sure normally his podcasts are off kayfabe. Like, he just has people on just being themselves. I know he had Damian Priest on, who was very much just himself. But yeah, I couldn't imagine the way that Mustafa Ali right now. I wouldn't ever really imagine themselves being themselves in interviews and stuff. Like, I feel like they're in a position where they would have to be in kayfabe.
That's true. I just thought it was silly.
Yeah.
Also, on the same note, Brock Lesnar, a picture came out of him recently, freshly released from WWE, and my dude apparently got like a head start on the No Shave November because he is one scary looking motherfucker right now. Terrifying. I like clean shaven Brock. I'd like to show a picture. I don't know if it'll transfer the camera as well. Let's see. Brightness is pretty far down, so it should. So this is the picture of new Brock. Check out that sick facial hair. I just feel like I'm like looking at a completely different person now.
Yeah. I feel like that news segues us into a new little piece of news. Got. Do you not know? The fact that WWE abandoned all of their Brock Lesnar trademarks?
Oh, I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah, I thought I told you that earlier.
You may have. feel like the way you phrased it made me feel like I'd already heard about it, but I don't think I actually heard that.
Well, yeah, WWE released their Brock Lesnar trademark. Um, and it's kind of shocking, honestly. Like, considering there's been a lot of talk about Brock Lesnar coming back, um, I feel like if they're doing that, then maybe odds are he's not coming back. Because I doubt if you're renewing a trademark, you wouldn't release it first. Unless Brock Lesnar is going to be going by a different name.
I was gonna say maybe like if he does come back, it's just not gonna be as Brock.
It's always possible.
Um, Also at this point, I mean, there's so much that's happened, especially with all being Roman now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that signals like a change in character, even though Brock didn't quite have a character outside of Human Monster.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions right now, even though I think we've already made a couple. Um, but I think that in and of itself is shocking news. I would have never thought that they would do that with one of their biggest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just gave up on the idea of ever coming back at this point, just because like WWE is seemingly running out of money and ratings are tanking. So maybe he was just like, ah, fuck it, back to MMA.
Yeah.
We're on a very different note. WWE has released a new, or is releasing a new mobile game called WWE Undefeated. We'll read a very brief description because the description is much longer than I want to read. It is featuring real-time head-to-head competition. It's coming on December 3rd to iOS and Android devices. Apparently, it's like it says WWE Undefeated presents quick session matches that blend fast arcade-style action with the strategic depth of an RPG. Collect and upgrade signature moves to build up your WWE Superstars arsenal to dominate your opponents. Experience over-the-top action with outrageous attacks, exaggerated poses, and unbelievable moves. Connect with a faction to share wrestling moves and strategies. Show the world what you've got on your quest for the WWE Championship. The art that they've done for part of it looks really cool. I don't know if this is like just the trailer, like the art for the trailer or what, but
What's it called?
WWE Undefeated. It looks relatively similar to the game that they just put out. The one where like all the wrestlers look like little trolls.
Oh, I think it's Battlegrounds or something.
Yeah. It looks very similar to that, except the style the animation's a little less weird.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool. I'm sure Up Down Down will do a video on it at some point soon. But it does just kind of look like a nicer repackaged Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what that came out on. Was that mobile or was that?
That was on console.
On that note, let's see. What do I want to do? I'll do this next one first, and then the last one last. Makes sense. So somebody deleted their Twitter after the election results came out.
To be fair, the results aren't out yet. Full.
After the election results so far came out, Mr. Jackson Riker has unfortunately abandoned the Twitterverse or writer pastors. I don't know. Yes, dude took this loss real fucking hard and just said, "Oh shit, all of my views have been completely invalidated." Thanks. I think that's just funny. I say I'm going to miss him. Not quite as much as I miss Brandon and Wesley.
We pour one out for Jackson Riker.
It's Richard Waterbull. And the last thing I want to talk about today is probably the funniest headline I've read in a very long time. Paul Heyman wants to main event WrestleMania with Vince a bodybuilding pose down.
Bodybuilding pose down?
Yeah, it's basically like, at bodybuilding shows where like they're all oiled up and they're like, ooh, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
all that shit. He wants to do that with Vince. Main event, WrestleMania.
All right.
I like this piece of news. I thought it was fun. Paul said that he feels like, because Vince goes to the gym every day, he's always working out, and Paul said, well, I'm always wearing these suits, so people can't really appreciate my physique. I was like, you know what? Fine. Make it happen. I sit back for that one. I mean, it's definitely, because usually main events are hit or miss. I feel like there's no way you could miss with the Paul Heyman Vince bodybuilding pose down.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. That's definitely what I want to see.
Mark, I need you to get a little more joie de vivre in your step here, buddy.
It's hard to have a lot of joie de vivre with Paul Heyman, Vince McMahon bodybuilding contest.
I don't understand. Better than some other main events we've seen as of lately.
True, it would be better than the swamp fight. Matches and promos?
Well, the sign is up.
Alright, so first thing we started with tonight was an interview with Bayley just prior to her match against Sasha. Sasha came out first, and then we had like this little montage, and then Bayley's interview, where there wasn't much here to take from this. It was just to talk prior to the match, stuff we get all the time. So yeah, it was nothing too special. It was very short, and right after we just went right to the match.
We did. We had Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the Women's Smackdown title. We start with pushing, shoving. Bayley then shoves Sasha, and Sasha slaps her in the tits and then elbows her in the face. She does a little dance along the ropes and pulls Bayley down into a deep arm drag. She's looking for the bank statement, but Bayley scooches right on out. Bayley's looking for the baseball slide, but Sasha dodges, sending Bayley out of the ring. Sasha then slides out of the ring and takes Bayley's leg out under her, dropping her face first into the apron. Which was one of, I think, 3 times where like they smacked their faces into the apron. And I was like, wow, oh, not like this. Sasha sent both knees into Bayley against the ring post. She went for it again, but Bayley got her feet up and lofted Sasha so far up into the air and sending her face first into the apron. Cool fucking move, to say the least. I don't think we've seen that one very often, and I really liked it. I thought it was cool. Once they get back into the ring, Bayley starts sending her knees into the back of Banks, choking her out against the ropes. Bayley ends up with 2 knees in the face against the buckles. Then there's a clothesline to Sasha. Bayley gets on the top rope and Banks. Sasha Banks gets up to the top rope and Meteora's Bayley. Then off the apron, Banks Right. This note made no sense. Banks goes off the apron to Bayley outside of the ring, and bodies her, sending Bayley halfway down the fucking ringside area. Just the force of it carried her so far. We went to commercial around here. Banks, when we came back, was sitting on top buckle. Bayley then rolls out and attacks her from the apron. Sasha slides off the buckle and out and grabs Bayley's legs off the apron. Looks like she's going for the powerbomb into the announce desk, but then Banks is then head scissored into the announce desk. Bayley goes up to the top buckle and Sasha pulls her down. Bayley smacks the back of her head on the top buckle. And then there's double knees to Bayley, a running elbow off the stairs. Banks goes up to the top rope, rope splash down onto Bayley, a backstabber to Bayley, and I want to talk about the backstabbers real quick. I want to talk about the backstabbers like real fucking quick. You see the backstabber every once in a while. It's not the most common move. It's a very Zelina move, if nothing else. Sasha does it every once in a while, but it's not like her go-to.
Dakota Kai does it.
So, like, I meant more on the main roster. I saw like 3 today. I swear to you, they were just like, it's a backstabber, and like, you stab me in the back, and we do this because it makes sense. I feel like that's what happened there.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. I'm looking for something as a response here.
I mean, I've been seeing the backstabber a lot. You also see it on the men's side, because I think Cedric does it a lot, and I think Cedric did it, and then Xavier did it in the last Raw. Like, they did it against each other a couple times.
I guess I just mean, like, between these two, you don't see it that often.
I guess that's true.
And that's why I was like, I'm not complaining, really. I like the backstabber. I think it's a fun little move. There's a backstabber to Bayley, and Bayley to belly, and Banks immediately counters into a crossface on Bayley. Bayley reaches the ropes, and Banks comes around to ringside, but Bayley double kicks her to the barricade. And Bayley goes and gets a kendo stick. And the ref sees that, and he's like, hey, by the way, you can't use that. He takes it from Bayley, spends 14 minutes waiting for somebody to get it off his hands from outside the ring. And while he's not looking, she goes and grabs a chair. But not just any chair. The same fucking chair that we keep fucking seeing. That poor chair has seen so much violence.
So either Bayley put that chair there, or Sasha put that chair there, or the production team put that specific chair in that spot, and they just so happened to grab it on the right side, the right spot.
I mean, I'm sure it was part of the match. Like,
No. I'm
I'm
talking about in kayfabe. I'm just saying it's very coincidental.
It is. I just like the idea that the chair like follows them wherever they go. Just waiting at like the bus stop, and they're like, "Oh, there she is." Look. She grabs her little chair, and Banks kicks it out of her hand. Just in time for the ref to turn around and be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Another backstabber to Sasha, a Bayley to belly to Sasha, and a flying elbow to Sasha. Sasha still manages to kick out, but like the ref was also counting super slow. Like his hand was just about to touch the mat when she kicked out. Like, there were so many like it's technically 3 Sasha kick. But then there's a running knee to Sasha and a back suplex. Then Bayley pulls off the Banks statement on Sasha Banks. It's ironic. Kind of cool. we kind of hope that the person that is known for the move would try to get out of the move, but there is then a jackknife cover as Banks breaks free. Banks then dodges Bayley, sending her shoulder first into the post. We get a backstabber to Bayley and a Banks statement to Bayley, forces Bayley to tap. Sasha still maintains her title, goes to walk the fuck out, take a shower, relax, maybe get some food. And Carmella out of goddamn nowhere wearing the most uncomfortable looking bondage gear I probably have ever seen. Quite hot, but also at the same time. Super kicks Sasha, and then a face buster,
and then she just stood there for like 5 minutes, just like staring out into the non-existent crowd.
And don't forget
as there's like the sound of the crowd that was feeding him was just boos or like talking amongst themselves, so it was so awkward. Like they didn't even bother to put in like noise of like an excited crowd or something to signify somebody coming back for the first time. No, it was just boos and awkward noise.
I think like the best part too is that she didn't really react to it either.
Yeah.
It was like all booze, and she's just like, "Me, I'm not here for you."
She didn't even look down at Sasha at all. She just completely forgot about Sasha.
I'm just like, I'm confused. What is the gimmick here? Like, at first it kind of seemed like, oh, she used to be the Staten Island princess, and now maybe like the whole vibe is she was gone and she's kind of like upgraded to like the Manhattan princess or whatever. I thought maybe that was like the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the camera had to do with jack shit, but the camera was there. Then she comes out in this gear that's like super sexy. Not gonna falter on that. It was hot. Wish I could pull it off. However, I don't understand. I don't know what she is doing. I don't know why she is here. How is this any different from Staten Island Princess Carmella, except she just doesn't dress like she belongs on like the Jersey Shore? I don't get it.
I don't either. I'm already tired of Carmella.
I was tired of her after like the 14th promo we got. Because they're like Bianca Belairing her, except Bianca Belair has talent.
Mm-hmm.
I guess makes it almost more frustrating.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, in a weird way, the way that they're trying to make her seem like this like top bitch, basically. It feels like they're like, Charlotte's not back yet. We need somebody to be like a bitch in charge, and that's gonna have to be Carmella.
Well, Charlotte's on Raw, so even if she was back, they still wouldn't have anybody for Smackdown.
I don't know, dude.
It sucks.
I weirdly enough saw like a lot of. Go on.
No, that was it. It just sucks.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that. I saw a lot of people today on Twitter talking about how much like they hate Corbin. I didn't see any slander for this woman tonight, and I was like,
It's because people like that are idiots, and they hate who they're supposed to hate and love who they're supposed to love. They're being force-fed this stuff. A lot of people love Corbin and love heels because they have the personality of the show. They drive everything. It's the reason why Seth is a lot more compelling than Otis, for example. Carmella, I think Carmella's supposed to be a heel, actually. So that kind of makes things worse. She has no personality and she doesn't give off a great performance. That's why I don't like her. I don't know why people like her.
So, something I always say when I'm talking about people, because I'm a pretty passionate person. Um, Most times I either fucking hate somebody or I really fucking love somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing in my book for me to feel towards a person, I'd rather hate somebody or love somebody than ever feel indifferent towards somebody. I'd like the same thing given to me. I would rather be hated or loved. If anyone's like, oh, yeah, that's Liz, whatever, I don't care for that. I feel like people are just indifferent to her at this point, which is, especially when you're in a world where it's like you're either a good person or a bad person. If people are indifferent to you, honey, something's gone wrong.
Right. It's just frustrating.
Now for her to come, keep going.
I was gonna say I wish somebody like Charlotte was back so that we had our eyes focused elsewhere. But
I was just gonna say that, like, now for her to suddenly come back like this, and there's significantly more women proving that they're capable of fighting for the title. For her to just come back all of a sudden and be like, "I'm here, give me the title." It's like, I not only do I not care about you, I also don't get that. I need at least like 5 seconds more of like actual storyline before.
yeah, and it's one thing if those vignettes were full of storyline, but they weren't. They had
And I think
nothing.
the other problem is the other problem is that like I think this is one of the first people that's returned that we have been watching long enough that we are familiar with them and like acquainted with their character prior to them vanishing. Which makes it worse because it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, I understand why you would want to fight for this title, but like,
Oh, look, we can go on about this for days. How much we're annoyed by Carmella. But we do have more to get to. After this match, we move on to promo featuring Jey Uso and Kevin Owens, where Jey is getting coffee for Roman, being the little PA that he is. Kevin comes over and is like, he asks him what's going on. Makes a joke about Jey just getting coffee for Roman. Jey takes it all too seriously, and he's like, "The fuck, man? Like, think this is funny?" And Kevin's just taken aback by it and says, "Maybe you should stick to decaf." Um, and then after that, we move on to an interview with Jey, which was what the last promo was in preparation for. Um, Jay's doing an interview with Kayla, where Kayla basically asks him if like he felt bad about what happened to Daniel Bryan, and stuff like that. And then Paul Heyman comes in and says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Did Roman Reigns authorize this interview?" Turns out he didn't, and then they need to go get his permission, which they leave, leaving Kayla all alone for now. But then we move on to a promo with Rey Mysterio, Dominic, backstage, where Rey is trying to call Aaliyah, won't pick up. Dominic is like, "Whoa, Dad, what are you doing? You gotta get in your gear. You've still got your mask on, but you're still wearing clothes. Take them off." And then Ray is ignoring everything his son is saying and just saying, "Aaliyah won't answer her phone." And then King Corbin comes in and says, "Hey, bitch, you're not ready for your fight? I'll bring it out here." And then attacks Ray backstage.
Stomps the piss out of him.
Yeah. And then after that, we move on to a continuation of the last interview, a promo with Jey and Paul. And Jay's like, yeah, you know what? Let's go inside, see what Roman has to say. So Paul's like, maybe I should just go. Paul goes in, brings Roman out. Roman's like, had an fair chain of command. You run it by me, and you talk Paul if you can't find me. And then Jey, being the little bitch boy he is, says, I understand. Something along those lines. And the interaction with Kevin Owens is brought up, and Roman suggests that Jey give him a piece of his mind and, make up for what happened earlier. Jey agrees. I think a little reluctantly, in the back of his mind. And once Jey leaves, it's Roman and Paul. And Roman turns to Paul and says, I'm supposed to know everything that goes on. Did you know about this? And Paul said, I got there right when it started. And we're kind of seeing Roman kind of owns Paul as opposed to the other way around. You are frozen. Moving a little bit.
Yeah. You're very pixely.
Okay, you're back.
I think I saw you blink. You're a little delayed, but
Okay.
catch up.
Well, you're fine now.
I really liked when Roman turned to Paul and was like, "You're supposed to know everything that happens." I was like, "That's a very tall order. Calm down, Roman."
Yeah.
However, we then go into Corbin versus Ray for a chance to go to Survivor Series. And I'm going to be real honest with you, I had a preference as to who won. I got it.
Dominic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Corbin slams Ray down into a spine buster and then just kind of abuses him for like a little while, just kicking him around. He punches Ray ringside before throwing him face first into the apron. Ray sends his shoulders into Corbin's side a couple of times, but Corbin just kind of like shoves him to the ground. And then stands on him. This whole match was fucking hilarious because Corbin is a massive dude, super fucking tall. Rey Mysterio is a very small man. Very small man. Anytime Corbin picked him up, it was like watching a man pick up like a 10-year-old. Corbin then throws Ray from the ring. Ray dodges a charging Corbin ringside, sending him into the stairs, and then Ray gets a couple of seconds to clobber Corbin. Ray goes off the ropes, and Corbin sends him down into the canvas with a bit of a shoulder tackle. There's a head scissors to Corbin, and who comes out but Mr. Seth? He's not there for any good reason. Just completely forgot that Corbin was the man who, end of days, his wife, and is somehow now supporting him. It's fine. I feel like Becky walks out of like a room with him, and he's just like, Becky who? I don't recall Becky. I don't know who that is.
I mean, this is also the man that allegedly cheated on a wife, girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend.
So when you say that, it kind of puts what you said into a little different context.
I bet he's reformed. The Messiah now.
Messiah, disciple.
Yeah, Seth's just viewing. He's just watching. I guess it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Seth sends his 2 feet into the face of Corbin, and then Corbin decides to do something a little funky, which was an over-the-shoulder backbreaker, and he did it twice to Rey. I've never seen him do that before, and I'm wondering if he could only do it because Rey was so small.
Maybe.
A little more movement. But very strange, very cool. I liked it a lot. Again, how could you fucking hate Corbin? Got it. Corbin goes back to just kind of flattening Rey. Both men get up onto the second rope. Rey fights Corbin off and goes for a crossbody, and Corbin just kind of catches him. Get 2 more backbreakers on Rey and a final spinebuster into the canvas. Rey is sent back first into the apron. Corbin just kind of punches him for a while. Rey goes off the ropes again and is caught in a bear hug by Corbin. Wish it were me, to be fair. However. Again, it's just a very funny visual to watch Corbin just holding Rey by the waist and Rey's feet like end at like Corbin's hips.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is when Corbin's on his knee, when he's on like down on one knee, he's the same height as Rey, which is even better. Sorry, this feels like short guy slander now. I don't mean to do that. So Corbin's trying to set up for a move. Rey is trying to fight out of his arms and then bites Corbin.
It was very weird. It was like on his scalp he bit him, which you wouldn't really expect that from a veteran like Rey Mysterio. That's like John Cena biting someone or Randy Orton biting someone. Like, you wouldn't see it.
It just didn't make any sense. It was just a very weird move.
Oh, yeah.
A dude who like went crazy because like somebody took his eye, which is a reasonable response to somebody taking your eye.
Yeah.
Bite a man feels a bit hypocritical. Anywho. Rey then takes Corbin down and kicks him in the knee, and then there's a basement dropkick, and then there's a senton off the ropes to Corbin, and Corbin goes for, I believe, an end of days, and Rey trips him into the ropes. Rey goes for the 619, but Corbin wants to blow off some steam by getting out of the ring and punching Dominic. Totally fair. Again, another reasonable reaction.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I was fighting Rey and I saw Dominic on the sidelines, I too would run out of the ring and punch Dominic.
Gotta get like one solid hit in.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm asking for much. This, however, pisses Rey off. He kicks Corbin through the ropes. Also, great job, camera guy. You really fucking messed this one up. We had a top-down visual. Like, we didn't even see him actually make contact with Corbin.
I thought you were talking about the moment where, because I think there was a moment where Corbin was doing something to Rey or vice versa, and they just cut to Seth watching very briefly while the move happens, and then cut back.
It was just messy. That was it was messy, but like it was almost excusable only because there was a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
These vote totals are coming in right now, and it's just really fucking wild. There is... Okay, so kick to Corbin through the ropes, crossbody off the top ropes. So, powerbomb is in line. We start cutting back and forth because Seth sees Rey beating up Corbin, sees Dominic post beating up, and sees like, this is an opportunity for me to be an agent of chaos for 5 seconds, which just totally sets the vibe. He just tiptoes down the ramp and clobbers Dominic, which pissed off Rey, which gave Corbin the opportunity to send Rey face first into the canvas, not an end of days and not a deep 6, so I don't know what the point was.
Wait, as the finisher?
Yeah.
That was an end of days. It was a very weird
It
end of
was?
days because
Okay.
Ray was kind of wrapped around his arm a little bit, and he didn't go down. He didn't whip down so fast. It was kind of like slow, which I think had to do with Ray's height.
Normally, when I see an end of days, I scream end of days 3 times, like you're supposed to.
Right.
It's for good luck. I did not do that, so it was not an end of days.
It was the beginning of days.
Yeah. A midday.
A
of
midday,
days.
yeah.
So Ray is middayed into the canvas, and Corbin wins his spot at Survivor Series, thank God. And then Buddy and Aaliyah come out. This actually, I think, was before the final move, but whatever. We're just going to go with it this way. Buddy and Aaliyah come out. Aaliyah about to absolutely bust a titty out with that dress that she was wearing. Can't run out in something like that. It just doesn't work. And like it was like the heels and the dress is like super like loose, and I was like, there's so many middle-aged men that just want nothing more, honey. There's no reason as to why Aaliyah was not picking up her phone. It was not the Vegas wedding that Mark and I assumed it was. However, here we are. That was good. Everyone's going to Survivor Series. Not complaining. I do have a moment here to complain. I don't have anything else to say about this match. I've got a moment to complain.
Well, can I just say that this was the first match of many today that ended with a distraction?
It didn't bother me as much with this one.
What's your complaint?
I was just about to jump into the triple threat.
Okay.
Triple threat. Ruby Riott versus Zelina versus, once again, Natty. Now, let me just be honest here. Natty's a pretty veteran
Yep.
She's a veteran wrestler. She has every reason to be in the Survivor Series team. Even if she didn't, why are we putting her in 2 separate matches to qualify for it?
I've got an answer for you. And that's because on Twitter, they didn't show this promo during the show, but on Twitter, they showed a video of her talking to Adam Pearce and like really, really mad and wanting another match for the Survivor Series team. So there is this storyline of fuck Natty, basically.
Annoys me.
It doesn't annoy me because I can't stand her.
I love her.
My thing is, the reason I don't like her is because she keeps saying like she is the best, she is the boat. But she's only won, I think, she's only won like 2 or 3 matches this year and has lost like 15. Like she is not the winningest at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't. That's not really where I'm coming from, I guess, with that. It's like, she also hasn't had a ton of time this year to shine at all. All of her matches have been stupid.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you've got to take those things in with a grain of sand. It's like, Peyton's not a bad wrestler, but Peyton's had some stupid-ass matches this year. You know?
Right.
I mean, I would even wager a bet to say, judging by older Dana Brooks matches, she's not a bad wrestler. She just looks like shit this year because, 1, I don't know what the fuck she's doing out there, but 2, all of her matches have been also incredibly dumb.
Well, I wouldn't say the last one was, because the last one was literally just a tag team title match.
But I don't know. Anyways, Ruby Riott's also full goth Karen right now, which is weird.
Yeah.
It took me a full second to recognize who the fuck she was while she was out there. I was like,
Her and Tucky.
Yeah. Tucky just like took his hair out of the ponytail and wore pants, and I was like, Sure. Where are those baby thighs I saw?
His hair looked lighter too.
We also don't see a lot of his hair on a regular basis, though.
True.
Um, However, this also was just a weird fucking match. Natty rolls Ruby up. Zelina gets a hold of Ruby and then stomps on her. Natty pulls Zelina from the ring. Ruby rolls up Natty. Natty does a weird fucking submission hold that I would love to try out. Where she basically had she got Ruby's two legs kind of twisted around her legs and then grabbed the backs of her arms, pulled her back into like a full stretch, and then let herself drop down, pushing Ruby up into the air, make like a little human square. Very strange. Kind of loved it. I've not seen that before. And there's a head scissors to Natty from Zelina. But like Zelina gets spun around several times, so when Zelina comes out of it, she's dizzy. Ruby then essentially like deadlegs Zelina in a takedown. Up to the top buckle. Senton's tries to senton onto Zelina, but Zelina rolls out of the way. Natty goes for the sharpshooter, which, to be fair, if you are a submission-based wrestler, doing a triple threat match is not the best thing because you would have to kill the other person and then put your submission on the other person for it to work. But Natty goes for the sharpshooter on Ruby. Zelina bulldogs Natty. And there's a head scissors to Ruby from Zelina. Natty goes for the sharpshooter again, but on Zelina this time. Zelina tries to go for the ropes. It doesn't matter because it's a triple threat, so that's not going to stop anybody. Ruby then takes advantage of this submission hold. Natty lets go just in time for Zelina to tap out because this is a cruel world and I'm not meant to be happy, apparently. Thank you.
I was hoping it would go to Zelina, especially after they said they were pushing her. Last person I expected was Ruby in this match.
Yeah. Also, it's against Nia and Shayna, so.
Yeah. But after that, we had a promo with Big E where he's playing a board game with some PA or something. And then you just hear Big E rocks. Big E rocks. And sorry, not the New Day. The Street Profits come in. And also I want to mention Big E's sweater looked amazing. It was like it was a cardigan sweater with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like Leatherface on it. It was so good. I loved it.
I feel like he wanted to wear that for Halloween and then just never did, and he was like, "Shit, well, second best, I guess."
I feel like that though is best like immediately after Halloween, cause like, yeah, it's Halloween, but it's also Christmas.
Fair.
But the Street Profits come in and they ask him, "Hey, so we're facing the New Day at Survivor Series. Do you have any insight or info on how to beat the New Day?" And then Biggie, what?
They weren't that obvious. They invited him to the Champions Lounge, and he's like, "I know why you're doing this." Then he comes straight out, and they were like, "Hey."
True, yeah. And then Biggie says, "So what you got to do? You lay down on the mat, and then let them beat you up." And that's it. And then they all just start laughing. And then Billy Kay comes in. Big E exits. And Billy says, "Hey, I've got some insider info on Raw. Here's my resume and my headshot. I'll give you anything you want on Raw." And then Street Profits are like, "Billy, we were on Raw at the same time together." And I think that was it.
There was so much about this I love because there's been like a lot of talk like, oh well, Big E's got to choose a side. Just for him to say, if y'all lay down and wait, Kofi and Woods won't beat you up too bad. It's like,
Yeah.
and it was just like so fucking chaotic.
Just like
It's like this competitive laughing.
with Billy coming in out of nowhere.
I loved Billy in this promo.
Yeah.
I thought she finally got a chance to be funny.
Billy's great. When she's not wrestling.
She's a good wrestler too, okay?
I think she hasn't gotten the booking to really show off, especially after the draft. Like, she has only been in like triple threats.
I love that she was like, you'll see I was on Raw. Like,
But yeah, that's the end of that promo, and then we move on to Otis versus Seth Rollins.
my favorite match ever. It's inevitably going to break my heart because I'm a sucker. Otis versus Seth. I thought I knew where this was going. I didn't. This is again for a Survivor Series place. So Seth beats Otis down to the mat. Otis then tosses Seth a couple times before Seth just lets himself out of the ring. Something catches Seth's eye. Because walking down the ramp, as Corey Graves would have you know, is the world's biggest ingrate. Buddy Murphy. Tromping down that ramp, Corey Graves lost his shit. Not just yet.
Cole did too.
This was, I think it started at this line. I think Corey just lost the plot. Otis bounces Seth headfirst into the turnbuckle. Seth gets a chance to gently toe tap Otis's chin. Seth is just entranced by Murphy's eyes. He's just staring at him. This takes a couple seconds to also look at him because he's like, huh. Interesting. As Corey put it, it's like looking in a funhouse mirror. Which was just all a bit too much for me personally.
Corey was on fire tonight. He was,
at least for this match, I'll give him that.
He was unloading.
I still want to fight him, but Seth gets back in and he manages a sling blade on Otis. And as Corey and Michael are trying to commentate on this, Corey's cracking the fuck up. Like, Corey cannot actually say anything at all. It's just gentle wheezes as Michael Cole tries to take the reins. There are chops to Otis, which only lead to Otis getting all riled up. A string of clotheslines and forearms. Seth is then sent face first to the canvas and bounced off the turnbuckle before being launched once more. Seth kicks Otis in the face, but is superplexed. Yeah, that's it. But is suplexed. And there's a splash in the corner. Murphy stares Otis down. Seth's looking kind of like shit right now. For some reason, Seth takes this as his cue to be like, okay, all right. Otis is distracted. There's a kick to the chin of Otis, and then Seth stomps him to win, and Murphy just fucks off. I know I'm gonna have my heart broken. I know I am. Like, this was almost like when you break up with somebody and you really miss them and you see them out and you have a really fun and flirty time and you're like, oh my god, this is so nice. We're getting back together, aren't we? And then they never call you again. That's what's gonna happen here.
You want to talk? Unload a little bit? So moving on, we've got our next promo, which is a continuation of this last match. Seth is chasing down Murphy backstage. And he's like, hold on, Murphy. Tell me what I saw back there is what I think I saw. There's a long pause, and Murphy just says, Messiah, disciple. And Seth is ecstatic. But the way he phrases it, it's mostly happiness for himself. Not like this is what's best for you, but more so like, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so glad this is happening. And then Murphy does it again, goes Messiah, disciple. And then that's when Seth kind of steers him more towards Murphy and is like, the Mysterios wouldn't accept you, but I will. I will. And then so Seth leaves, and then immediately Aaliyah comes in and is like, what the hell was that? And they're like holding hands too, like holding both their hands. It's disgusting and creepy. And Murphy's like, no, it's okay. This is for the greater good. Which I feel like that's the line that implies that this is real. This is him actually going back to Seth.
I just want to say, I am a slut this tag team. And if they hurt my feelings again, I'll do a shot on camera.
Okay. Everyone take note of that. Somebody clip it or something so that we...
Maybe.
Nope.
Maybe.
It's in the archives now. Someone edited out the word maybe.
This is a Friday night show. I don't give a shit. Let it happen.
But moving on to something even weirder, we have an interview with Lars Sullivan. This time, not by Corey Graves, but rather Michael Cole. And this time, instead of like a studio room, it was just a pitch black room. And Lars is basically telling the same exact story he told last time, where he was bullied. But he went more into detail on him retaliating. And it was along the lines of, I bullied them hard. They were all bullied. And I think it was like, they were all intimidated when I showed them something new I could do. And it was just him yelling. That was it.
It's like a child's mentality. Like, aren't I scary because I can scream? It's like, oh, you're just loud and giving me a headache.
Yeah, and Lars peaked when he was like 6.
He's definitely one of those like creepy dudes like in high school that everyone fucking hated because like they're just annoying as hell. And then they started like lifting weights because they thought it'd make them like cool. And they were just jacked and annoying as hell. They never realized that the only reason people hated them was because they were unlikable.
Yeah. Yep. But after that, we had Jey come out to the ring. And then we had an interview with Kevin Owens backstage where he's asked about fighting his Survivor Series teammate. And he says, I don't know. Everything's gone out of hand. This is ridiculous. But I gotta do what I gotta do. And then he just goes out and he fights Jey in our main event.
Yes. Alright. We start with a headlock on Jey and a shoulder tackle to Jey and a spine buster to Jey. Kevin Owens right hooks Jey while he stands on the apron. There's a failed crossbody right into Kevin Owens' arms. Kevin then launches Jey into the ground ringside. There's then a kick to the head of Jey and a neck breaker. Paul Heyman comes out. And there's a bit of a promo, sort of, kind of, maybe, not really, in between these moments where Roman and Paul are watching on a TV backstage. And Paul's like, should I handle this, basically? Roman's like, yes. Paul comes out. This distracts Kevin. Jey super kicks the piss out of him. And there's a crossbody through the ropes, sending Kevin into the barricade. Every time this shit happens, I get like I cringe because I remember Ivar, and I'm like, barricade, no.
Mm-hmm.
Next. Kevin is then slammed face first into the steps. There's a super kick to Kevin, and then a headlock. Kevin manages to break out of that. And super kicks Jey so fucking hard. See Jey's fucking head wobble. Kevin then dodges Jey, sending him face first in the post. Then there's another super kick to Jey and a cannonball. Kevin then sentons onto Jey. Jey manages to dodge the powerbomb. Super kicks Kevin, and then there's a neck breaker. Jey goes up to the top buckle and powers Kevin Owens down and away from him, but Kevin Owens then dodges the Uso splash. Jey lands on his feet, so it's not that big of a deal. But there is then the pop-up powerbomb to Jey. Jey manages to get his foot up on the rope during the count, forcing a reset. And then Roman's music plays. And Roman doesn't come out, but his music plays. This distracts Kevin Owens. Jey, half-cocks him, I guess, if you could say. And just splashes onto him to get the win. I didn't hate the two distractions with the Mysterios, honestly. I thought it was like a little weird, but I didn't hate it. I hated this one. This was just silly. Yeah.
The fact that Kevin Owens was just distracted by the music itself.
That's the one distraction I don't get. Like, it's music. You hear it, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. Keep going. See someone, just keep going.
Yeah. I, however, found the other two distractions annoying as well. Less so the one where Ray was distracted because, I mean, it's his son getting beaten up. The one with Otis versus Seth doesn't make sense because it was just Murphy standing on the side of the ring, and Otis felt the need to swing at Murphy. Like, Otis, that would have gotten you disqualified if you did that. Why would you do that? But with that said, shall we move on to bests of the night?
I'd love to.
And in the meantime, we also have our biggest rise and biggest fall of the Mark Power Rankings 2.0. I updated the point system. On Tuesday, I updated the point system. So now there's less points for, like, the less variation of points. So winning a title is no longer 5 points, it's now 3 points. And you get less points now, but everything's kind of kept more even. Like, Drew McIntyre doesn't have 100 points anymore. He has 60, which is still double the next highest. So moving on to promo, or actually, the biggest rise. No relation between the two. Nothing super special here. Biggest rise was from NXT. It was Tommaso Ciampa in his main event match against Velveteen Dream, where he rose 75 spots in the rankings. And then the biggest fall from Raw is, shockingly, actually not so shockingly, Mandy Rose, after her loss for the Raw, or for the women's tag team titles. She dropped 84 spots. Alright. So, promo of the night. I think this is pretty decisive.
Promo of the night. Also, just so you know, Biden is up to a 0.5 gap in the Pennsylvania.
I believe is enough to call it. So, promo of the night. We started off with the interview with Bayley, which wasn't substantial really at all. There wasn't a lot to it. It was a shit talk before a match, simple as that. Then we had the promo with Kevin Owens and Jey Uso. A very fun interaction between the two. I think Kevin Owens is one of the best on mic wrestlers. He's just so natural when it comes to being on the mic, being in a promo. And then Jey is really showing his stuff as a performer, like really showing being a follower to Roman, but also not wanting this. Like he has to be here. Yeah, everything about this promo is really well done. I really liked it. And it wasn't anything cliche either. It was kind of on the more unique side of things. Then we had the interview with Jey, which was alright. Cut a little short. Not so special. The best thing about this was Paul Heyman's interruption. But that's really it. And then we had the promo with Ray and Dominic with the feature of Corbin. It was decent. It was okay. It was fun to see Ray get beat up by Corbin. But again, I'm so sick of this Mysterio family drama, this soap opera we're watching. I just want it to be over. After that, we have...
But I do like this little turn.
Which turn?
The Murphy turn.
Okay, where Murphy's turning more towards Seth and kind of bringing Aaliyah with him.
Maybe, except I've been burned too many times to trust it.
Well, we'll see. After that, we have the Jey Uso and Paul Heyman promo where they knock on Roman's door. This gave us a little more insight into the story. We kind of see the relationship better between Paul and Roman. And we kind of see who's in charge there. And the role Paul plays in that relationship. Very, very interesting. And then after that, we had the promo with Big E and the Street Profits, along with Billy. This promo was hilarious. I loved everything about this. But it was a little more than just funny. It also showed Big E still has allegiances to New Day. There's no resentment at all. They're not trying to create any drama between the three of them. They're still just best buds, and I hope that never changes. But we also got more insight onto Street Profits and Big E's relationship. Like they're kind of pals right now. They're not really enemies, and I hope they don't turn them as enemies because they've really great connection with each other. And then Billy Kay's appearance was hilarious and showed that she's just as capable of being solo on the mic as ever. I mean, they proved that as far as promos go, she didn't need Peyton. She's capable of being on her own. Although it still saddens me that she lost Peyton. I'm looking forward to see more of what she does on the mic. And then after that, we had the Seth and Murphy promo, which gave us a lot. It teased Murphy coming back to Seth, potentially, and Aaliyah joining them. Seth is always fantastic at delivering. I'm tired of Aaliyah. If we had Aaliyah and it wasn't anything about a relationship or romance, fine. That would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Have
It's
Angie
nothing to do with her as a person.
have Angie be in an affair with Murphy or something. Like that would be more exciting than Aaliyah.
Again, it has nothing to do with Aaliyah as a person. I'm sure she's a lovely person. She seems like a sweet girl, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't fucking know her. Regardless, it has nothing to do with her as a person. It really doesn't even have anything to do with her as an actor because, as we know, the Mysterio children aren't great actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the story.
Yeah. It's very much just a telenovela right now. But after that, we had the strange interview with Lars Sullivan, part 2. I don't get where they're going with this. I don't understand it. I don't like it. But I'm glad they're kind of isolating Lars into just this for the time being, where he can't slide into innocent women's DMs. And then last but not least, we have the interview with Kevin Owens right before his match with Jey Uso. I really like this. It wasn't your typical pre-match promo, because he was like genuinely confused. He had no idea why this was happening. And we got a little more insight on his thoughts on the storyline with Roman and Jey. I'm very much anticipating the Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens versus Roman and Jey tag team match that they're eventually gonna give us. And maybe we'll see some tag team title opportunities for them, possibly. But I think this just opens the doors for exciting things. But with that said, my pick for the best promo of the night, Smackdown, November 6th, 2020, is Big E and the Street Profits.
Same, bitch.
It had everything I could have asked for out of a Big E Street Profits promo.
It was the most chaos I could have ever wanted, and I'm so happy we got it.
Yeah. Alright, so moving on to Best Wrestler of the Night. I'm pretty solid in my pick. I don't know if you'll agree or disagree, but we shall see. So we started off with Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I thought Sasha was great in this match. This was basically a pay-per-view match that we got. I wish they would have left it for the main event, but I guess it makes sense that they had Roman and Jey and Kevin as the main event because that required more lead-in. But this match was awesome. I thought Sasha did an amazing job. She just went all out as if it was another pay-per-view event. I mean, she wasn't like as perfect as she was in the Hell in a Cell match, but she was still fantastic. I loved every moment that she had in this. And then we had King Corbin versus Rey Mysterio. My pick for this is Corbin. I thought Corbin was great. I don't think Rey was exactly the best matchup for him, because obviously Rey's height restricted a lot of the moves Corbin could do. And I didn't realize that until like watching it, that his moves really require us like height for his opponent because of the pendulum momentum of the end of days. Like the legs swinging, if they're not like a certain height, it looks weird. And we didn't get to see a deep six, unfortunately. But I don't think this was the match for Corbin, really. But I do think he was the best out of the two here.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on, we had Natalya versus Ruby Riott versus Zelina Vega. I picked Zelina. I think Zelina had the better moves to show today. I don't think this is a match for anyone. Nobody looked great here. Ruby looked awful. They just threw her in at the very end to get the win. Annoying. Zelina barely had any time. And tapped immediately. And Natalya just got screwed out of a win. So Zelina's my pick for this, unfortunately. Then we had Otis versus Seth Rollins. My pick's Otis because Seth spent most of the time just getting beat up. This wasn't a great Seth that we saw. Seth was mainly there to just get the stomp at the very end, get the finisher, lead into the promo. I think as far as actual fighting goes, Otis takes this, and then I also didn't so much hate Otis's reaction to Murphy, especially when he just walked by him as if he was looking in a funhouse mirror. I thought, especially since they both look similar, Otis's reaction really worked well. Welcome, B-Ball 6954. Otis really, this was kind of his match to win until the surprise ending, or the distraction ending, I guess. So, another day for Seth, but not today. And then we had Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens. I guess I picked Jey. I didn't like anyone in this match. I'll go with Jey, just because I don't know. This match wasn't super impressive. I didn't love it.
No, it wasn't.
So I think that's all I need to say. So my pick for Wrestler of the Night is Sasha Banks.
I don't necessarily want to agree with you, but I feel like I have to agree with you.
Who would?
That was the only match. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that was the only match that like really was fully formed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little tired of certain aspects of it, but I do like that like she was able to fight the chair off, because I feel like that easily could be something that like just like the full Lashley and shit like that, where it's like, oh no, like the secret weapon, like nobody can beat this.
Right.
I do like that she's constantly just been like fighting that shit away. I give her as much as that.
If you want,
I got stressed during that match.
I did too. I actually thought that Sasha might lose it.
There were a couple near falls.
I do want to. I will get more into the details of the match when we get to match of the night. But who would you pick otherwise if not Sasha?
I don't really know who I'd pick. I just really liked how I liked a lot of these matches when I overlooked the fact that like a lot of them ended the way they did. I really like Corbin tonight. I thought he was really innovative. He did moves that we haven't really seen before. And yeah, the end of days looked kind of funky. He can't control that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like the fucking backbreaker over the shoulder was just so different.
Yeah.
And just, I feel like Corbin's so overlooked a lot of the time, and we haven't seen him wrestle in a long time. And by a long time, I mean like a couple of weeks now, but still. I just feel like he's so overlooked for how innovative he is, and how it seems like he's always working to become a better wrestler. Like, I feel like I never see the same Corbin. I feel like I always see like an even better Corbin.
Right.
There's been very few times where like I've watched a Corbin match and been like, take it or leave it.
Yeah, and I feel like that also goes into whenever Corbin loses, it never feels like he should have lost, you know?
Right.
And I think that just goes into like him being an incredible wrestler and performer. But like I said already, I don't think this was his day.
Yeah.
And the right matchup. So we'll go with Sasha Banks.
You know, we might get to see it at Survivor Series, so.
Hopefully.
If they give him a quick out, though, I'm gonna have a fucking fit.
He will probably be the fodder that just gets run down by Braun Strowman.
Fuck you.
It's probably going to happen. Because it's not going to be Jey. It's not going to be Kevin. It's not going to be, who's the other one? It's not going to be Seth at all. And I don't know who the fifth person is. Alright, so match of the night. We started off with Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I thought this was a really fun match. The only problem I had with it was just the amount of near falls that we had. There were so many just attempts at the pin, kickouts. it got a little tiring. But aside from that, it was a very exciting match. Um, I think the addition of the attempted kendo stick and the chair, albeit the same exact chair, was a little annoying. Um, but I think it worked, especially when Sasha kicked out the chair from Bayley's hands. Um, this is basically them saying that Bayley has basically just hit a wall. Bayley can't do anything. Whether it be just in this match or in her wrestling career in general, like she is stuck. Yeah, and I do think them leading into Carmella and the feud between her and Sasha at the end is a good way to wrap it up and kind of push forward a little bit. Although I don't love Carmella, I'm hoping to be surprised. Although the lame finisher at the end was kind of dumb, because that's apparently like a finisher that like the Bella twins would constantly use, and it wasn't even a finisher. I think Mella just made it a finisher.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. I'm hoping to be surprised. But after that, we had Corbin versus Ray in a decent match. The distraction was a little annoying. It made a little sense, but I would have much rather loved to see Corbin take down Ray in a convincing fashion and then lead into beating up Dominic. I would have thought that would be a lot more exciting. And it's very weird that we might be getting a Corbin Seth team up. Very weird.
Just accept it.
Because, like, one's a king, one's a messiah. They're both going to be butting heads. But as far as the match itself, it was pretty decent. Corbin was great. Ray was alright. Like I've said 1,000 times already, this wasn't the right matchup for Corbin. Corbin very much needs someone on in his weight class to really go full out on. And we had the triple threat between Natalya, Ruby, and Zelina for the spot in the women's Survivor Series team. This match was lame. This was lame. This was dumb. Like, we complain about Raw just announcing the women, but Smackdown actually gives us matches, but then they give us matches like this. It's like, is there no middle ground? Is there none? Ugh. Yeah, nobody looked great in this match, and there were a lot of bad-looking moves. Yeah, not good, not good. Then we had Otis versus Seth, a matchup I would have loved to see go all the way into a convincing finish. But Seth was not there. Seth was there to just get the stomp and then the pin, and that was it. Again, I would have just loved to see more. And then we had Jey versus Kevin Owens. Again, a match I would have loved to see any other day that wasn't today. This match was not fantastic. It wasn't. And then it had a annoying finish that was just a distraction. Lame. Dumb. Stupid. Stupid. So, with all that said, it was not an amazing day for fights today, unfortunately. But my pick for match of the night for SmackDown, November 6th, 2020, fourth day of the election, or third, is Sasha Banks versus Bayley.
After careful consideration and about 78 hours straight of watching Election Day coverage. My brain is not all there. However, I do have to agree with you, only because this was the only match that did not have a distraction, and as much as it pains me, I'll accept it.
Yeah, there were only 2 matches that didn't have a distraction in it. It was this one and the triple threat for the women's Survivor Series spot. And there's only one clear winner between the 2 of these.
Huh?
Did you not listen? I said there were only 2 matches that didn't have distractions. This one and then the triple threat women's match for the Survivor Series spot. And there's only one clear winner between the 2 of these.
No, that makes sense. It's just so funny to me too. Objectively, as we've just chosen, this is our best match. I would objectively choose as our worst match Survivor Series 1, and it's just so funny to me. There's no in between for the women's wrestling right now.
Right. Yeah.
It's painful.
On the main roster, at least.
Right. NXT is completely negated when I'm talking like this.
Yeah. So let's run it back. Our promo of the night: Street Profits seek out Big E. Wrestler of the night: Sasha Banks. Match of the night: Sasha Banks versus Bayley.
Rockin'.
You want to wrap us out?
I do. Mark Meadows has COVID. That's a yikes.
Who is COVID?
Chief of staff for President Trump, who was not wearing a mask during this big meeting that they just had today. Just found out that he has COVID. Vibes. Not good vibes. Terrible vibes. Daily COVID cases, 125,000. But guess what? There's no silver lining. The only thing I can say right now, whatever weird, fucked up version of the world we currently live in is, God bless. And thank you for watching. If you tuned in tonight, thank you. If you tuned in the future, thank you. Looks like it's going to be a brighter one. So happy for you, future person. Real good for you tonight. I promise you guys, I will do the promo show. Obviously, shit's just been a little wild. I've gotten about 15 hours of sleep in the last 3 days because I've been only watching election stuff, which I probably shouldn't do. That's fine. Yeah, just between work and everything else going on in the world, it's been really hard to focus. So I promise I will do the promo show. If I can, maybe I'll do it on Wednesday instead of waiting another week. I'll figure it out, though. We'll let you guys know. Maybe I'll try to pull all my ideas together this weekend so that way we can do it Wednesday. But thank you so much for watching. Continue. Thank you to everyone that regularly watches us, whether it's now or in the future. Yeah. And on Monday, it's not fair that there's a 3-hour show on Monday. Okay, I'm gonna just come out and say it's not fair.
They should put this 3-hour show on Friday.
You'd think. There's no way in hell. Every Monday, I love Raw. I really do. Every Monday, though, I wake up and I'm like, I gotta do 3 hours of Raw, then a 3-hour podcast on top of that. I love doing the podcast, don't get me wrong. It's just I'm going to bed at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just me. Mark, where can they find us?
Well, if you're watching us right here on Twitch, first of all, thank you for watching us live. If you're watching on YouTube, watch us live. Twitch.tv/The Pinfall Podcast. If you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. You'll be notified whenever we go live, and it's fun watching us. We love to talk to you. We love to interact. If you're watching on YouTube, you can't interact with us there very much. Sometimes we'll see the comments, but not so much. So if you come watch the live show, we'll be able to interact with you live. And if you're watching on Twitch but want to check out the rest of our podcasts or the rest of this one, in case you missed some, our YouTube is the Pinfall Podcast. Just look us up on there. And our Twitter is at Pinfall Podcast. We post whenever we go live on there, as well as live tweeting episodes or pay-per-views. It varies, but we live tweet a lot. And we also post our picks for Wrestler and Match of the Night in case you miss an episode, but still want to know who we pick for winning. Yeah. And follow our personal Twitters as well. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elane23. And follow my personal Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Mark Cameron. All right. Thank you so much for watching.
December 19th, Mike Romies. We're getting close, so I'm going to keep reminding y'all.
Oh boy, yep, December 19th, our wrestling awards show where we award everybody in WWE who deserves to be awarded. Spoiler, Velveteen Dream won't be getting an award.
Neither will Corey Graves.
Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.